So what do you think about your new guitar?
I like it
Why do you like it?
because it's really nice and I like it and it's so pink and sparkly.
Is that the color that you wanted?
Yeah,
How long have you been asking me to make you a pink guitar?
for a long time.
Yeah, and are you ready to learn how to play the guitar?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you gonna practice every day?
Maybe.
Maybe? What's the first song you want to learn how to play?
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Okay, after that, what's the next song you want to learn?
The Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger? Alright guys, I know what you're thinking. Dude, you have a daughter? Yeah, I do, actually. Actually, I have 2 kids. I have a son and a daughter. And for the longest time, my daughter has been asking me to make her a guitar, make her a pink sparkly guitar. And I promised her quite a while ago, and I've been promising her for a while that I would make her a guitar. And I've finally done it. The guitar is finally done. So this is a Squier by Fender Affinity series, and I got this on Facebook Marketplace probably like 3 years ago, and I think it was for like $25. No kidding. And the reason that it was only $25 is because the guitar was in extremely bad condition and shape. It basically was not playable. The strings were literally like that far off the fretboard, like right here at this position. And the reason that the strings were so far off the fretboard is because the bridge, which it was not a hardtail at the time, you know, it was your standard like Squier 6-screw vintage style trim. The whole thing was like lifted up. The wood was basically broken and it was way up off the body. The whole thing was cracked on each side. In the back where the springs are, the wood was all cracked. The wood was kind of displaced. It was in really bad shape. So I bought it with the idea that I was gonna fix it up and that I would fix all those cracks and all the broken wood and whatever, and that I was gonna turn it into a hardtail. And then of course repaint it, which is exactly what I did. So if you take a look at some of the pictures that I took before I did all the work on it, you can see the cracks along the side where the bridge were. You can see that in the back of the body, like all along this spot right here, you can see the holes from where the screws from the front of the trim, the 6 screws, they went all the way through the body and they were poking out the back. I mean, how did that happen? Did the guy who bought it replace it with different screws that were longer? I mean, I would think that would have to be the case. I don't think they would do that at the factory. I mean, it is an Affinity body and it's a thinner, it's not a full-size strap body, so it is thinner, so there's not as much wood back there. So what did I have to do to fix this guy up? Well, first of all, I needed to make everything back there like strong and sturdy and stable so that, you know, when you're playing it, even with the hardtail, so that the thing doesn't come off and a big like chunk of wood doesn't come off. So I used some of this stuff. I think I got it at Home Depot. You basically, it has like a tube of white and a tube of black, and you mix it together and stir it up, and it makes this like strong substance. It's liquidy at first, and then you basically wipe it on there or rub it in there, or, you know, in my case, I try to squeeze it in the holes and put it in there, and then it hardens, and it really hardens. But it's still sandable. So I did put it on the front and I did put it in the back, and you can see in the back it's like really kind of clumpy because I wasn't really able to get in there and like sand it smooth. So I just left it like that because I wanted to fill in all the holes and the gaps. I put in some pieces of wood here as much as I could to fill the gap. I didn't fill the whole thing. I mean, if I had like really good tools and a really good like table saw or something, I would have maybe cut pieces of wood and filled up the entire gap and sanded it smooth, but like with a handsaw, that's just too much work. So for my purposes, it worked out fine. So I covered the whole gap, put that stuff on there, sanded it as smooth as I could, and then I proceeded to paint the whole thing in pink sparkly paint. But before spraying on the sparkly paint, I sprayed it with just sort of a regular standard pink paint, because when you paint it with like the sparkly paint, whatever's underneath kind of has a tendency to kind of come through a little bit. So if I would have left just the dark blue, I think the pink sparkly would have been a little bit bluish or a little bit darker. So painted on the pink first, and then painted the pink sparkle on top of that. And then I went over it with a clear coat. I did some wet sanding because when you spray on the sparkle paint, and then after you spray it on, even after it dries and you run your hand along there, you're gonna get like sparkles on your finger like all the time. And I didn't want that, obviously. So I did some wet sanding to get some of the sparkles off to kind of smooth it out, and then did the clear coating, and then did some more sanding after that. The pick guard and the pickups. I've had this for quite a while. This is something that I ordered from AliExpress at least a couple of years ago. It was a pre-wired pick guard that had the pickups and everything already installed. The pickups are not super great. They're okay, but they're not really high output, but they're okay, especially for a beginner guitar. And then, like I said, I converted it to a hardtail, so it's just got kind of a basic chrome hardtail bridge. The strings do not go through the whole body. The strings are actually fed in through the back of the bridge right here. And that made it easier for me because then I didn't have to drill 6 holes like all the way through the body and then worried about, you know, getting them like evenly spaced or anything like that. And then after that, it was just a matter of putting the neck on, setting it up. I had to do some shimming on the bottom of the neck because when I first put it on here, the action was ridiculous and it was like way high off the fretboard. So I had to do some adjusting of the truss rod. That lowered it down a little bit. I had to lower the saddles. That lowered it down a little bit more, but still it was too high. So I took the neck off again and put some like construction paper down in the bottom of the neck pocket down towards the end of the neck, and then that brought the butt of the neck up, and then I was able to get the action like pretty low, and now it's in pretty good shape. So all in all, this has turned out like really good. The finish looks really good on it. I'm really happy with my, you know, converting it to a hardtail. It looks good, it plays good, it sounds good. I think this will be especially good for my daughter if she takes to it. Because the Squiers, they have a tendency to have like smaller necks. You know, it's thinner at the nut down here, narrower, and the neck profile is thinner, and it's gonna be good for her because obviously her hands are pretty small. The Squiers are a pretty good bet because the necks are just smaller. So will she really take to it? Will she stick with it? Will she practice every day, every week? I don't know. That remains to be seen. We shall see. I'm certainly not going to force her to do it. If she likes it and she wants to do it, that's great. I will support her and I will help her. But if she's not interested, then that's okay too. And of course, this would not be a proper guitar review video if I didn't at least play the guitar a little bit, right? So I'm just going to do some really melodic soloing, and I'm just gonna play it right through my Line 6 amp over here, my Spider 3 Line 6 amp, and we'll see what happens. Check it out.